overreact to yesterday because, like Stephen A. said, so they haven't played in San Antonio since February 7th. Although one of the things we're praising them about is they had this 11-game win streak pretty much all on the road. They played some home games in Austin, but I don't count that. They were in a hotel. So, you have to, you can't give them credit for being great on the road and dismiss it, but I'm not going to overreact to a noon game at the Garden. What I will say is this: if you're creating a case for why the Spurs aren't going to win, you saw it yesterday. They didn't handle it when the Knicks threw some punches at them. It was a 19-0 run in the second quarter. You're not going to win a playoff game, most likely, where you give up a 19-0 run on the road. So you see stuff like that. How are they going to handle those situations? And then the thing that's sort of been the one thing you could tug at their cape on all year long is their three-point. Their three-point shooting has been better during this streak. In fact, it's arguable that you could almost retire them as not a good three-point shooting team when you see, like, when they go into Detroit last Monday and they had that really nice win over the Pistons. They killed it from three in that game. But they are still, as a team, inconsistent on three-point shots. And when they get to the playoffs, the opposing teams, when they get to do game plans that are fully set up for a playoff series, they're going to force them into taking threes. And they're going to want Victor Wembanyama to take threes. They are still a bottom 10 three-point percentage shooting team. And whether you like it or not, the NBA is still very much of a three-point league. And if you enter into playoff series where you get outshot from three, and I think the Spurs can't outshoot teams from three, because you're going to see games where Victor does hit 5, 6, 7 threes. But that is where their weak spot is. Their defense and that three-point, or not their defense, their experience and their three-point shooting. I'm just going to say, Shay, I am not going to put a limitation on them. Stephen A. can make great points, and he could end up being exactly right. But they are not going to do something that is going to surprise me this year. Because of Wembanyama and because of what this team has going for it, nothing that they will do will surprise me. But I don't have an expectation that they will accomplish the highest level yet.
I'll be surprised if they go to the finals this year, just because of the present. This group together, guys, has not even been to the playoffs and been through a 7-game series. Victor Wembanyama is only averaging 30 minutes a night, and then you're going to ask him to play 40 minutes a night, every other night. The game plans are heavier. The attention is more. The physicality is ramped up. And for a player like that, that's going to affect him a lot more than maybe your average player, just because he's so tall and the way that the games are officiated. I never believed that the Spurs this season were a real threat to get to the NBA Finals just because of that experience level. And Oklahoma City in a 7-game series, Denver in a 7-game series, Minnesota in a 7-game series. Those teams are all experienced. Those teams have all been there. Minnesota, we write them off, but they've gone to the Western Conference Finals the last 2 years. Oklahoma City is the defending champions. Denver still has championship DNA. To beat one or two of those teams, I can't see that this year. I think they are 2 years ahead of schedule. Maybe this time next year we can have a real conversation about it. I want to see them win a playoff series first before saying 3 playoff wins in that Western Conference. That's a little bit too much for me.
Go ahead, Stephen A.
We also got to keep in mind a couple of other things. Number one, not only do they struggle occasionally from the three-point side, like Wemby pointed out, but they were also out-rebounded on the offensive glass 18-10. You pull Wembanyama away from the basket to some degree. Obviously, that's something that you can exploit. Come playoff time, that's more bites at the apple. You don't need that problem if you're the San Antonio Spurs and you struggle to win from three-point range. That's number one. Number two, let's give the Knicks credit, because we're going to do that on this show, okay? Since January 21st, ladies and gentlemen, the New York Knicks are tied for the best record in the Eastern Conference at 14-4. They're number one in defensive rating, number one in net rating, number one in assist-to-turnover ratio, and opponents' points off turnovers. They are the best in the National Basketball Association. So I like that. I'm seeing that. I think it's important to bring that up, because as we reflect on what we've seen from Mike Brown, who we know can coach, okay? The bottom line is we just have to put it out there. Tom Thibodeau's name is going to be mentioned unless Mike Brown gets them to a conference finals and gets them just as close, if not closer, to an NBA Finals berth. Why? Because the New York Knicks were considered like cardiac kids over the last couple of years. Yeah, they ended up losing both times to Halliburton and the Indiana Pacers, and I get that part. Injuries derailed them the first go-round in that 7-game semifinal series. Last year, they blew game 1 and they never recovered. Let's just keep it a buck. But in the end, when you look at them, they've been considered to be like cardiac kids, overachievers. Their grit and their grind was what made you fall in love with them. It didn't matter who they were going up against. It didn't matter what the circumstances were. They were scrappy. They fought you tooth and nail. They had that bite. They let you know you were going to be in a dogfight. That's what you saw when you saw the New York Knicks over the last 2 years, especially come playoff time. The problem is you're wondering where that has been on too many occasions this season on the defensive side of the ball. Yeah, they've improved and they've had a lot of great moments, but then you go up to Detroit and you get annihilated. You get your ass kicked. See, that's the difference. If you sit up there and you just have an aberration, let's say, for example, Vinny, Wendy, that they were going up against Orlando or they were going up against Atlanta or somebody that you know that in all likelihood they would beat. That's your belief. You believe they would beat them. All right, that was an off night. But this is the #1 seed in the Eastern Conference, who you knocked out 5 games last year, whose coach came on national television on this show telling the world, oh, we want y'all. We gonna get y'all back. They walk into this season. They've got the best record in the conference. They don't beat you. They kick your living ass. They beat you by 30 the first go round. All right, we gonna see what's gonna happen the next go round. The next go round, they up by 40. Okay, they up by 40. Then they walk into your house without a front line, without Jalen Duren, without Isaiah Stewart, both suspended because of the beef with Charlotte. And they beat you by double digits, and Cade Cunningham replicates Kobe, LeBron, Steph, MJ, or whomever you want to pick by dropping 42 and 13 on your home court without his full squad. This is the kind of stuff that we're looking at. So we see a Knicks team that could they beat Boston? Sure. Could they beat Cleveland? Sure. Could they beat Atlanta and Orlando and Miami and all these other teams? Sure. What we're looking at and where the trepidation kicks in is that Tom Thibodeau's team beat Detroit in 5. And you have the team this year under Mike Brown, and they sweep the floor with you. They run you out of the state. They give they show that immigration issues actually exist in the world of sports because the New York Knicks might not be allowed in the state of Michigan. That's how bad it's been, the kind of beatdown that they got. You gotta make amends for that. You gotta make sure that kind of stuff gets eradicated. And obviously we won't know until playoff time whether that's gonna happen or not, but that's the situation with the New York Knicks right now.
Well, let me just say this, Stephen A. Well, so then if you're a Knicks fan, you should be rooting for the Spurs to win every game, because if you get to the finals because you beat the Spurs twice in the regular season, you should be able to handle them in the final. You know, last year they got walloped all season by the Celtics and ended up coming back and winning. Like, the regular season and the playoffs are 2 different things.
I know it's 2 different things, but the point is that Boston, to me, were the reigning defending NBA champions with a superiority complex. They had a great season. They know they could beat anybody. They're going up against the Knicks, and they got shocked because the Knicks got all up in them and fought them like dogs and obviously got the better of them. That's entirely different than a team on the come-up who you've knocked off, who's sick and tired of playing the fair weather stepchild to you, has announced that they're coming for you, and then they've done it. Y'all cover the game. You know it's a different flavor when something like that is going on. That's what I'm talking about. The Detroit Pistons scare me. And I think that if you're a New York Knicks fan, you should be looking at the Eastern Conference. Yeah, it's tough. And yeah, you're going to be in a fight. But there's one team that stands above the Knicks with their foot on their necks, telling them, we're going to bust your ass again. And they keep doing it. You got to answer that. At some point in time, you got to answer that call. My issue with the Knicks is not about any other team. My issue with the Knicks is about the Detroit Pistons. To me, they are the best team in the Eastern Conference who have a personal axe to grind against the New York Knicks. And they treat their competition against the New York Knicks like that, punching them in the face and then saying what you going to do about it. And the New York Knicks have said, nothing. Nah, you got to answer. You got to answer, all right? You can't be getting pimp slapped like that. You got to answer that call. So it's nice to see them win yesterday. And it's going to be nice to see them make amends and beat Cleveland. Hopefully you'll do that. And Jaylen Brown and Boston is coming, and Jason Tatum might come back. All right, fine. But you can't have somebody rolling up on you and just treating you like you nothing, and you do nothing about that. That is unacceptable in the game of basketball. Unacceptable.
My brother is nervous. Steve,
Yes, I am.
nervous. He's nervous.
Yes, I am. I'm not denying it. I'm not denying it. When have I denied it?
Steve.
I'm not denying it. I've been saying for weeks, Detroit Pistons have me nervous.
Stephen A., Eastern Conference Finals, me and you going to hang out in Detroit. That's what we going to do.
No. I'm good with the peeps in Detroit. I got a few friends.
We know.
in Detroit.
We
I'm
know,
good.
Steve. We know.
I'm good. I'm good. I'll be downtown the whole bit. I'm looking forward to going. I'm just saying, when I'm in that basketball arena, no, I'm going to be rooting for the Knicks, but I'm being nervous as hell because I doubt the Knicks can beat the Pistons. I've said it publicly, and I'm going to say it again. I'm not going to believe they can beat the Pistons until I see them do it, because the Pistons have a personal axe to grind, and the New York Knicks have not responded to that call out. They have not responded to that. That is unacceptable. That is unacceptable.
What he's saying is games like yesterday maybe give Knicks fans a little bit of false hope until they face the Pistons next. That's kind of what I got.
Very good, Shay.
There we
Very
go.
good synopsis.
I broke it down.
Very good. Very good summary. Absolutely.
All right, he's all serious and nervous, but we're going to make him laugh now. We got a quick take. Before the Kings lost to the Lakers last night, Sacramento head coach Doug Christie had an interesting